One of the biggest problems in modern Islam is the idea that you can take from the Quran and the Hadith directly. And so I want to clarify that, because that's a huge subject and a lot of misunderstanding come from it. But what I wanted to clarify was the obligation of going through the ulama, and again, not just the ulama, but really the great ulama, and they have been clearly identified. There are ones that are agreed upon, and then there's ones that are not agreed upon. It's very important for Muslims to, this idea that people can read the Quran and take directly from the Quran is one of the most dangerous ideas in our community, because it will lead to a complete fragmentation of our religious tradition, which is already happening, but it will happen even more. If you go to America, there are so many different denominations. Every street corner in some places in America has a different church, and people go to different houses of worship. Why? Because they all interpret the Bible differently. So the Baptists interpret it differently from the Methodists, and the Methodists from the Episcopalians, and the Episcopalians from the Anabaptists, and the Anabaptists from the Pentecostals, and the Pentecostals from the Holy Rollers, and on and on and on. And then you have the little funny ones where there's a preacher and his family, because he's the only one on the planet that really understands the Bible. I mean, you really literally have churches like that. And this is what happens when you allow a complete lack of regulation of sacred scripture. And so what this tradition is really about is maintaining a type of regulatory mechanism on sacred scripture, so that not everybody can say what they think it means. You have to be qualified to do that, and that qualification takes many years of rigorous training that also has to be accentuated by a brilliance. So it's one thing to have the training. I mean, I've been undergoing this thing for a long time. I don't have the qualifications necessary to be one of those imams, and I'm very aware of that. I know my limitations. I'm not stupid or deluded about that. I mean, there are people that think they can do that, but it's not like that. And if you spend any time with somebody like Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayya, you will know how far you are from just what the necessary prerequisites are. And academic scholarship is very different from classical Islamic scholarship. I mean, the idea of a Western academic having knowledge of just knowing the 10 qira'at was a sine qua non. To know the 10 variants of the Quran. And there are different, there tathabbatu, in Surah Al-Hujurat, there's a variant, tathabbatu and tabayyanu. It's written exactly the same way without the dots, but there are two qira'at. One is tathabbatu and one is tabayyanu, and they mean different things. And there's a reason why they mean something different. And so the person has to understand what the difference is between tathabbut and tabayyun in a khabar. In ja'akum fasiqun bi khabarin fatathabbatu, aw fatabayyanu. And you have to do both. And that's why they're both